Talking once again with UFC veteran Jeremy Kennedy, who's coming off a big win at Brave 14. Thanks so much for doing this, Jeremy.
Thanks for having me in.
You know, the last time we talked was heading into your Brave debut against Danyel Pilo, and you went on to win that very impressive victory. So let's start off there. I mean, it was a few months ago now, but in case some people didn't catch it, what are your thoughts on that win and that fight?
Yeah, it was a perfect step. You know, he had a good record, and I really wanted to show my improvements from this past year being down in Vegas, and I mean, it was quick, so it didn't really get to show my full improvements, but that's a good thing as well, because I wanted to show my aggression, and that kind of played into it, and allowed me to finish the fight pretty early.
Yeah, one thing that kind of caught my eye was, and I'm sure other people too, is you're hitting with those really hard elbows from the top position, and you were the one who kind of like signaled to the ref, like, "Hey, looks like he's out." Did you think it was a late stoppage, and what was it like from your vantage point? Did he look completely out, or can you see maybe why the ref was confused, or do you think it was a late stoppage?
Yeah, I just think I don't know. Even when I looked up at him and I walked away, it took a second before he had stepped in and checked on him.
Yeah.
But I just kind of wanted to get out of there. You know, like once I dropped him, I wanted to finish it off. So once I sort of, really got a bunch of elbows through without any kind of movement from him or defensive, I kind of looked up at the ref like, what's going on? And then at that time, I looked back down and he wasn't moving. Like I didn't know he was out at that point. I was just kind of looking to the ref like, what more do I got to do? Mm-hmm. And then once I had stopped, he didn't move, and I was okay. He's definitely out. So yeah, that's kind of how it didn't look like he was out because his hand was kind of blocking his face, so I could see kind of where the ref was coming from. But I mean, even if he wasn't completely out, he wasn't intelligently defending himself either. So it should have been stopped regardless.
Yeah. So, it was a big fight for you because it was coming off your first and ever loss in pro MMA against Alexander Volkanovski. How important do you think it was for you? And I'm just kind of curious because it was overseas. I believe the event was in Morocco. What was did you get, a fair amount of media coverage after the fact for interviews and responses on social media, things like that? Do you feel like it was a win that people sort of, raised some eyebrows here in North America?
Yeah, I think just because of the length of it, it was a short little clip. It was able to, be able to put it on my social media right away and send it around, and people were able to see it, right away. And the finish kind of garnered some attention because, like you said, the ref didn't stop it right away. So, it got more attention in that sense as well. But it was just good for me. I needed to come out and make a statement. And a lot of people after that fight with Volkanovski, they were, how's he going to come back? And that's a question with every fighter, and I passed that test with flying colors now, and that's all in the past now. So I'm finally happy to put that to bed and put that to rest, and just, keep doing that to these guys and whoever puts it in front of me. And I'm just going to, that's what they have to look forward to. They look back at my last fight, and that's what's going to happen again.
Yeah, I don't think I brought this up with you before the fight, but did you feel any extra pressure? And for some backstory here, in case people aren't aware, you had a fair amount of coverage leading into that fight because you decided, I think, if I recall correctly, things were kind of up in the air with the UFC, and you wanted to stay busy. The opportunity came forward with Brave, so you took that fight. And I think, to be fair, if you had gone out and lost, maybe people would be turning around and saying, hey, you took this gamble, it didn't pay off. Did you feel any pressure from that context?
No, no extra pressure, especially with it being in Morocco, and I was out of my element. I didn't have friends and family or anything like that. I had my immediate family and my girlfriend, but I didn't have any friends there necessarily. So I forgot about the cameras. I forgot about everything like that, and I was just like, I'm just here with my coaches, and I'm gonna go do this work. And I wasn't thinking about what other people were thinking about it. I was already in Morocco. Like I wasn't thinking about stateside and my relationship with the UFC or whatever. I was just worried about that one fight. I had already been to the UFC, so it kind of released a lot of pressure. And even the loss as well, that released a lot of pressure. I was just kind of like, now it's just have fun, go out there and actually show people what I can do, rather than trying to like protect this undefeated record or protect this undefeated UFC record, and it was I don't know, it was just different, and I had a different headspace, and I loved it. It was what I needed, even at this stage of my career. I was young, and if I fight in the UFC again, I'll be more than ready. and it'll be good because I'm still growing, and I'm still getting better, and I'm getting to test my skills as often as I want through Brave, with them keeping me so busy rather than the lengthy layoffs that UFC typically gives you in between fights.
Yeah, and that leads into my next question because I know there was a bit of coverage there because you had said you were willing to step in, I think, on short notice for a PFL event, and then Brave came forward and said, "Hey, we want you to fight in November." That didn't pan out. So, what do you know? What's next for you yet? When you're fighting next?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the PFL thing didn't really work out for me, which sucked. But it was an opportunity lost. But that there's nothing I can do about that. That's as well. That's in the past. And Brave keeps to their word and keeps me busy. So November Bahrain didn't work out. So now I'm fighting end of December. It's already confirmed with me. I'll be fighting December 28th in Saudi Arabia.
Oh wow!
So I still got another one in before the end of the year, and looking to fight again right after that very soon. Like I always want something coming up, earning money, and you get better through the fights is what I've found. Like the training is good, and you get better during off season, but I find I get the best once I come back from a fight. I feel like everything's sharper and everything's put together more because you have that much more experience in the cage, and that's where it all really matters.
Do you know who you're fighting yet, or can you disclose that?
Yeah. I mean, the Bout agreement was sent and already in, so I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a done deal. Until Brave officially announces it, it's up in the air, I guess. But
Okay.
It's still Marat Magomedov. I mean, I've had we were supposed to fight last May in Jakarta, and then again he was supposed to be the guy I fought in Morocco in August, and then he was the guy they brought for me in November in Bahrain, and that didn't work out, and so now we're finally gonna settle this here in December.
Yeah.
Fourth time's a charm.
So because there's been plans tabled for you two to fight for a while now, I'm guessing that you've probably got a good sense of what challenges he presents as a fighter.
Exactly. I looked him up, last year pretty well, last May, and I did my little fight study, and then the only thing that's different is he's had one fight since then, and I've watched that. It was a 3-round decision, so I got a lot of footage out of that, and I'm done looking into him now. I know what he's about. I know what he brings to the table, and I know exactly what he's going to try to do. Related to the Khabib name. That's what he's done every time, and he's going to try to do that same thing to me, and that's just not going to work.
So what do you think? I mean, he's I would think it's safe to say a more established name because of the connection there and over here. So what do you think?
Exactly.
How big of an opportunity do you think this is for you then?
I think it's the perfect step. He's got a good record, and he exactly being linked in ties with Khabib, he's got that name value as well. And exactly that piled with his record. He's only really fought in big organization is Brave, and I think he had a few in World Series of Fighting. So he's had fights stateside, which helps as well. Rather than Danyel Pilo, he was just kind of only fighting in the regional Italy scene, so he didn't really have a big name, but they had the same record. He's 10-1 now coming into this fight, so it's a great record, great name, and I think it's a really good matchup for me.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to get your sense of, I mean, it was in Morocco, and you're going to be heading out to Saudi Arabia, but did you get a sense of sort of the affinity there for mixed martial arts? And I think like old school people fans remember, of course, because of Abu Dhabi, you've got that sort of tradition there of grappling competitions, etc. And now there's more MMA events in the Middle East and that region. So when you were in Morocco, did you get sort of a sense of the MMA sport there and whether it's growing and?
Yeah, I mean, like it was their first event there, so it was somewhat new, but Brave does a good job of bringing MMA to these countries that don't typically throw big events.
Mm-hmm.
They've had shows in Pakistan and Colombia and stuff like that. So even this next one in Saudi Arabia, it's going to be, it's going to be new to them. And but they do a really good job promoting it, and they're that's their market. They've done it for a long time now, and I'm Morocco. It had a huge crowd still, surprisingly. But that's having Ottman on the card, I think, really helped the main event there because he was their countryman, and you can tell they were really supportive of him. just because of how quiet it was for all the other fighters, but they were there watching, from the very beginning, so it's not like those typical UFC events where the first few fights are empty and then it's huge by the main card. They were all there right at the very beginning, and they were just really vocal for the last fight.
So where are you right now? Are you out here on the West Coast, British Columbia, or are you down in Vegas?
Yeah, I'm back home in Vancouver, Canada right now.
Right.
I go back to Vegas next Monday, and pretty much do the bulk of my camp down there. I'll be coming back once in between from now till then, and then I leave from Vegas out to Saudi about, I think, December 23rd or 22nd, sometime around there.
So who's going to be helping you get ready down in Vegas?
The usual team at Extreme Couture. I got my coaches, Eddie Baracco, Casey Halstead, and Eric Nixick, and then all the guys at Extreme Couture. It is really well because everyone seems to be getting fights booked in December. Lance is going to be fighting 3 days after me on that PFL New Year's Eve show. Mm-hmm. So he'll be getting ready at the same time. Dan Ige is fighting UFC Milwaukee, same with Kevin Lee. Keith Lee's fighting for Brave October 21st in India. So we've got a bunch of guys all fighting around the same time in December, where typically it's pretty slow in the gym getting bodies out. Yeah. I shouldn't have a problem at all there because, we got a gym full of guys that are still hungry and fighting.
I'm a fellow Canadian, and I'm just curious what it's like for you, like living down there. I know you're not there like all the time necessarily, but you're down there a lot. It's got to be an interesting experience because we're so similar as countries, but there's some differences too. So, do people recognize, like, even with your accent? Do people say like, "Hey, are you from here?" or anything like that?
No, they pick out the Canadian accent, which is so weird to me because I don't feel like we have an accent, But there's just certain words that we pronounce differently, and I notice that with them as well, And but aside from that, it's pretty similar, and there's, especially being in Vegas, there's so many people from all around the world that are like, it's kind of like a hotbed for people. There's not too many like Vegas locals, so to speak. It's more guys from all different states coming to Vegas to train. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of international fighters there training out at Extreme too. There's a lot of Russian guys, so it's pretty cool to see all these different fighters from all around the world. Last
question for you. Did you have a chance to see, for context, you've trained a lot with Bibiano Fernandes over the years. Did you see his fight with Kevin Belingon?
I did. I was training with him for the last few weeks because I was back home and he was getting ready to head out. So I did about the last 2 or 3 weeks of his camp with him. He was looking sharp. He's feeling really good. I thought he won in my eyes personally, but that's obviously biased because I'm looking at everything he does. And I still to this day I rewatch it and I still see him winning. But the way one judges their fights, it's hard without the 10-point must system. It's all opinion based. You can't really go with each round by round. It's got to be a fight as a whole. So you don't really know what the judges are leaning towards and how big one little move near the end of the fight can impact the entire fight. And it kind of might judge their mind if they see, like, for example, that knockdown, which wasn't even a really big knockdown. He kind of rolled and got right back up to his feet near the end of the 4th round, I think. Does that kind of erase everything they watched from the first 3 rounds? Maybe taking him down, almost catching the submissions, and just things like that. It's a real fine line, and you don't really know where the judges' heads are at. But it was a close fight, so you can't really you can't call it a robbery.
Yeah.
But I find, in my mind, I thought Bibiano won. But he'll be back. It's a great fight for them to have a trilogy on.
Oh, for sure.
Kevin's a good guy, and I think that's what's going to happen next. That's what should happen next anyways, with how long Bibiano's, defended that belt and reigned
he
that
deserves
division.
It. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to watch it again. I only saw it once, and I agree with what you had to say, because if you kind of look at it through North American, the 10-point scoring system, well, not necessarily just North American, but I think most people would have him winning probably 3 rounds to 2 for sure, but one scores it overall, and there's some subjectivity there in the scoring in terms of an overall fight, so it's kind of, I'd like to watch it again and see what my take is on it, but...
Yeah, definitely. I think if it was a 10-point must, you got to give it to Bibiano, but with the whole fight being as a whole, it definitely makes it complicated and a lot more close in the judges' eyes.
I actually read this afternoon that he reported he's got a immediate rematch clause. So if he
Oh, there you go.
exercises that, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so that's pretty much guaranteed what's happening. I just don't know how long after, like what's going on with him. I haven't seen him yet since he's been back, but I'm hoping to run into him before I head back to Vegas. So we'll see how he's feeling and how quick he wants to get back into it.
Well, Jeremy, that's exciting news about this upcoming fight, and it's a great opportunity and a great way for you to close out 2018. So best of luck with that, and
right at the final days there.
Yeah. So best of luck with that, and you can enjoy the holidays afterwards, I guess, and maybe we'll talk to you in the new year.
I appreciate it. Thank you.